Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren DeMarco.
And I'm Matt Ackland. We begin tonight with new information on that Metro incident earlier this week that claimed the life of one woman and sent more than 80 others to the hospital.
DC Fire and EMS released their initial report today detailing what firefighters encountered when they arrived at the scene. Fox 5's Lene Burns spoke with the president of the local Firefighters Association. Lene, what were the biggest concerns that came out of all this?
Well, Lauren, we learned this afternoon that firefighters did not know that there was a train full of passengers in a smoke-filled car until they arrived on scene. And now that's according to a very detailed account from one of the firefighters who was on the front line at the scene when the report was released. Now, we heard from Edward Smith today. He's the president of the Firefighters Association. He says improvements need to be made in communications, safety standards, and radio equipment that actually works.
They had no idea what they were getting into. The radios were not working. They were unable to communicate with the command on the street. So the officer had to make a judgment call. And he made the judgment call to go ahead and enter the track, the right-of-way, to go to that tunnel and rescue people.
DC Firefighters Association President Edward Smith says the Fire and Emergency Medical Services report reveals some tense moments when firefighters were faced with making decisions with little or even perhaps wrong information. One of his biggest concerns was that they went in to rescue passengers believing power in the third rail was shut down, but the timeline in the report reveals it may not have been.
The time frame of confirming at 3:44, confirming that the power was shut down to the third rail, and this time of 3:44 actually conflicts with the NTSB. I believe they stated 3:50. So there's some question marks there between the two different reports about when the third rail was actually taken down.
Smith says conflicts in information could have cost firefighters their lives if they had come into contact with the third rail with 750,000 volts whose power had not been shut down. Another communication issue for Smith in the report was problems with amplifiers that allow rescue crews below to communicate with the command on the street. He says at one point firefighters were using their own cell phones to try and communicate, and there were also reports that they used runners to deliver messages as well. And the initial timeline that shows the call to 911 and actual dispatch is concerning to Smith.
You can see at 3:22 that the first call to 911, that's same as 911 right there, and then 3:28 was when we were finally dispatched.
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
That sounds like a long time.
It is a long time.
And in a separate report, Fox 5 learned exclusively on Friday that there was another issue in the midst of that stressful incident. A plan to back a smoke-filled train out of the tunnel failed because the driver of the train behind it had abandoned their post. Now, Smith says he wants to see a full inspection of amplifiers. He also would like to see a plan B for firefighters when it comes to communications that goes beyond using their cell phones or perhaps a runner to convey information. And he also wants to get to the bottom of when it was actually safe for firefighters to be near that third rail and when the power was shut down. Smith also says that he spoke with Mayor Bowser today about the report and says that she told him they would be looking into all of this. And we also want to let you know that just a short time ago, Metro released a letter to its riders apologizing for what happened last Monday. The letter says in part, quote, "The incident that occurred on the yellow line outside L'Enfant Plaza was harrowing for the passengers aboard the smoke-filled train and caused a major service disruption for thousands of others. We know that we have to redouble our efforts to learn from this and to take every step necessary to make sure that it doesn't happen again." Now, Metro also apologized to the family of Carol Glover, who died during Monday's incident, and to the dozens of people who were hurt. We understand that this apology will also be printed in the Washington Post on Sunday. Lauren, back to you.
Thank you, Lene.